As a sort of public service announcement from here, those of us here at Married with Clix, I want to inform you that there has been a recent rules changes at the taping of this episode, leading into the 2014 rules. Now, some may ask, does this affect any teams, anything that you've said prior to this episode? And the very long answer of that is no. The change of theme teams only really affected the teams that you probably won't see on this show. The mystical team is still got all the probability control it's ever had, considering like practically one in every two characters. I'm making up that stat, by the way. Mystical characters have prob, so losing the theme prob didn't really affect them. Now, let's get on the actual episode. All right, this week we're talking about a strategy I don't like. You'll never see me use. I've maybe used it once or twice on the show and wasn't really happy with the results. Mostly because of the stress it causes. If you're a big team player, this strategy is very stressful, and it is the one-man army or tentpole strategy. Now I have to make that addendum because talking about a whole episode about the one-man army, I just can't do. It's not very hard to understand how a one-man army works. I decided not to bring my team base downstairs just because I just didn't feel like grabbing it. All our team bases are in multiple pieces and would require work to put back together. That said, we'll start off with the team bases. However, they are probably still one of the prime versions of a one-man army that can generally hold their own. I say one-man army because you play with one figure base, one dial, and you go. They can attack multiple times, and they can produce other characters right off of the base themselves. They're good. They're strong. One thing about this strategy is, as Null can easily put it, it's a bit of a sledgehammer strategy. There's not a great deal of finesse to it. It's also the strategy where when you make a mistake, you pay for it hard. Oftentimes, if you're playing a one-man army specifically, so we'll go with Null and the Dark Phoenix and the Thanos over here. Now, granted, the Dark Phoenix for 300 points on her own is probably not the option you'll go with. You'll probably go with the 200-point version, to be brutally honest, and tentpoler. When you put all your eggs in one basket, now often 300-point characters are 11 clicks, often, not always. But ultimately, basically every click costs your team 33 points. Not literally, figuratively. It's close to that type of thing, so understand that it's one of those teams that does get you get a little nervous every time your figures take damage. These are not prime examples of these figures. This is just, I don't play this strategy. I don't hunt the figures down for it. Sentry Void is one of the figures that would be a prime candidate for it. I don't have it. I don't care for it. It's the Chase Thanos. I have Thanos, the super rare Thanos at he's playable at 300. The Chase Thanos is an option. I think he's actually better as a kill box in more than 300 points, but meta picks, we try to focus on the 300 point meta. Probably a big threat at 300 points on his own is this new Bizarro. I've run into him in Sealed. I've played with him, and the fact that you can put 12 tokens on him. Every time he takes damage, any amount of damage, you lose a token, and you don't click him until the beginning of your turn. As a one-man army, that's threatening because you're now on the onus to damage him at least one damage 30 or 12 times. That's 12 different attacks you've got to throw at him. Now, if you have the right numbers, you can do it. If he's on the right click, you can do it. It's not impossible. It's just slow, it's monotonous, he's indomitable, and he's got all kinds of get-out-of-jail-free cards. He ignores characters for movement. Every click is either super senses or impervious, so if you're not packing Psychic Blast at the time that he has impervious, or you're not packing Precision Strike at the time he has super senses, he's got a rollout. A lot of clicks he's got or shape change on too. This, as a one-man army, he scares me. He doesn't do as many actions or as much damage straight out as Void Sentry. But if you can get a kill off on an opponent, 1 or 2 characters off, you're gonna drive your opponent batshit. You're gonna drive your opponent very crazy. So Bizarro is a very valid choice, though not as effective as others. He's still very strong. Now we're gonna talk next about the tent pole. The tent pole is a slight variation on the one-man army, where more often than not you get 1 or 2 characters on your team, maybe up to 3. Again, I don't have prime candidates for this. Maybe this Thanos at 150. Bizarro is playable from 25 to 300, so take a pick. He could be one of them too. This Dark Phoenix at 200, the Null at 200. These are all options, not meta options in a lot of these cases. In a lot of these figures you're not going to see in Worlds anymore. Maybe the Bizarro at most. But then they'll be supported with a character like these. These are probably the 3 prime candidates to go with a one-man army team. The Scarlet Witch was actually, now that I think about it, I didn't bring them down. Remember my counter meta strategy involved one team was the Iron Man that ignored damage, resource damages. Popped on with the full point version of the Scarlet Witch. He's pretty good. This Enchantress played at 50 points, although she could be a one-man arm or tent pole herself. Her 50-point version comes with probability control and telekinesis. What more could you ask for in a character that you want supporting you? Telekinesis and probability control? Sure. And this guy, I think, does kind of stick out a little as far as a potency for him. And that's John Constantine. All 3 of these characters are Mystic's team ability. John Constantine brings something to the table that the other 2 don't, and it's the ability to shut down your opponent's probability control. That can be, in some cases, a pretty big advantage, where basically what John Constantine says is other characters cannot use probability control. He does have probability control, making him the only character able to use it. That does affect your characters as well, but primarily having him as your probber makes the tent pole kind of stand in its own light. This was a really hard episode for me to come up with because it's a strategy I don't play. But it is a good chance to announce our next contest. While Amber goes upstairs and gets the prize, we're going to talk about what you have to do for it. Now, Metafix is, of course, about playing how to make and how to play super uber competitive teams. So I have created a team of my own, which I will be announcing next week. What I want you guys to start thinking about is building a team that's going to beat my team. And what we'll do is we'll have me and Amber play them out. And as we're playing it out, we are going to, I just realized because of the wide angle of the GoPro, me trying to hide that was worthless. So in order to win this contest, Amber is going to play your team. Now, a super strong meta team doesn't require a great deal of thinking. It might take some thinking. But Amber's going to be piloting your team, and I'm going to be piloting my team. And the prize is a mostly full Book of Skulls. Inside of this bag is all of the tournament hammers, as well as the Book of Skulls itself, and not only the original card that comes with the Book of Skulls, but the proper rules card with the actual rules for this. This Book of Skulls and the Hammers was provided to us by the Comic Book Warehouse at 20 Strathern Avenue, our local place to play. So, stay tuned next week as I talk about the current growing danger to the meta, a team that I have come up with some ideas for, and a team that I think has some potential to show up in the Worlds. So, thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned next week for the team that you have to beat, or to build the beat, to get this full-blown Book of Skulls.